How's it going, guys? I'm Jeff.
I'm Alyssa.
And welcome back to the Real Life Podcast, talking about faith, culture, and answer your questions. Guys, big day in the Bethke house. We've been waiting to announce this for a while. We officially have a TV show. Whoops! Yeah! If I had all the confetti cannons, we'd be doing that. Was that your trumpet? Guys, I've actually... Okay, so we're going to spend a few minutes on this before we get to the content, just because I'm so jacked. So,
Yippee!
Yes, it's on Yippee. We'll talk about that in a second. Is that like
I feel like they should have some tune.
Theme song? I like that.
Baby
You'll
back,
have to send that into
back
Brandon
ribs.
or Adam. Okay. Did you just make the Yippee? Was that Tony Roma's that did the baby
Well,
back
I
ribs,
just feel
or
like
was that-
they
who was
need
it?
some tune because you
I know.
remember things with tunes.
Exactly. Well, I think they do. They have that yay, the whoop, and then the yay, the kids.
Oh, yeah,
So,
yeah. So
They do have that.
that's good. Yay!
But guys, we're so stoked. So let me give you the quick story here. So it's actually been a dream of ours for... I'll say what Yippee is in a little bit, but let me... What?
It's always been a dream of yours.
Oh, yeah.
Like bucket list.
Totally, to just have some
Dream
type of like
job.
fun kind of TV show stream, and there's a bunch of different ideas there. Something with our family, something maybe like a talk show thing, all that stuff. And so what's cool is about 4 months ago, maybe 5 months ago, maybe even actually longer than that, the team at Yippee, which if you don't know, Yippee is this new streaming service. I almost kind of consider it the better, healthier kind of version of what we wanted Disney Plus to be. You know what I mean? Meaning like it's original programming. It has licensed shows like VeggieTales and some of those other ones, but it also has original shows. It has entertaining shows. It has educational shows. It has fun shows. One of my favorite original shows they have is it's called Jonas Gets a Job.
Yeah.
And if you ever saw Dirty Jobs with Mike Rowe, where he like goes and does people's jobs for a day, it's like that, but with a kid. So like the
And
kid,
he's really cute.
Yeah, the kid goes and does different people's jobs for each episode, like a lifeguard, a dog trainer, a stunt coordinator. Is super fun. So the kids love it. They love all the different shows. I love Jonas Gets a Job. Jonas, I don't know if you listen to this podcast, you're amazing. He's like 10. But yeah, so they have original shows, some licensed shows like Madeline, VeggieTales, stuff like that. Amazing service. It's up and coming new. They're incredible. They're awesome. We love it. The kids love it. They reached out and they were like, hey, we love you guys. We love your family. We'd love to do something, maybe like, and the original pitch was, we'd love to kind of like follow your family and almost do like a behind the scenes kind of documentary style show where we, do 10, 15-minute episodes where we send out a film crew and they follow you for a couple weeks and we do a season of that, And we were like getting that football down the field where they were going to send out a film crew and all the different producer, video guys, sound guys, and all that to follow us for a bit on adventures around Maui. And right when that was probably, about to happen, then COVIDo just hit hard. And instead of pausing, which we did at first, we're like, okay, obviously they can't send that out. Like you can't even travel to Hawaii now actually without a 14-day quarantine. We then kind of got back into the digital boardroom and we said, hey, what if we do something like self-shot for the first season, kind of like a quarantine edition version of this show before maybe season 2, or 3 later this year, getting back to normal. And they were stoked in the idea. And so essentially what it was, they knew I was proficient enough on cameras and stuff like that. They let us, basically self-shoot the show. And then my buddy Matt and them do this incredible work of producing it all to the end. So incredible editing and production on the back end where it's super fun. Now, the premise of the show is each episode, we're calling it kind of the Bethke's Ordinary Adventures. And what that is we try to show, and this is really our passion, how families specifically can go on ordinary adventures. There's something to learn. There's something that God wants to teach behind every little thing, every little rock, every little nook and cranny, whether that's an episode of making bread, whether that's an episode of playing tag, whether that's an episode that has to do with honey and the law of the Lord, all the different types of things. Like there's an ordinary teaching moment and an ordinary fun adventure, and so that's what each episode is. Each episode is, an episode where we kind of go on an adventure for that day and then try to pull out and extract the ordinary teaching moment in a fun, amazing way. And so it's so fun, guys. We had a blast shooting it. It's a 10-episode season. I think there's a couple episodes they're going to start with, and then we'll release one every week for the next couple months over the summer. But yeah, super, super stoked. I want to hear Alyssa's thoughts on it real quick. But if you do want to check out more of it, jeffandalyssa.com/yippee. So it's YIPPEE. So 2 P's,
Oh,
2
double
E's.
P's.
Double P's, double E's. And if you go to that link specifically, then you actually get, I think, 25% off your first 3 months, and you get your first 7 days free. So the first 7 days are free. Just go check it out for free. Check it out.
That's cool.
And then the first 3 months is 25% off, which I think it's only $7 or $8 a month. So then 25% off is like, I'm bad at math, but what is that, like $5 or $6 a month?
Yeah.
So it's a steal, you guys. Our kids love it. I think you guys will love it. The reason we love it too is there's no advertisements, there's no algorithm. I think my favorite thing I love about Yippee is that it's all encompassing content, but yet I know that when we do want the kids to go watch it or something like that it's safe. That they're getting stuff that will not be weird, or that I have to double, triple filter all the time, or double check and all that stuff. And that's what we love about it the most, is really trust the platform they're building and their mission. But how stoked are you, and how fun has it been to shoot?
It's been really fun. I feel like it's a really cool thing the Lord gave us during quarantine, and the kids have loved it, and Jeff's been killing
Kinsley
it.
Cam.
Oh, my favorite is Kinsley Cam. So sometimes she'll take the camera.
Yeah, we don't put it in every episode, but
talk.
Yeah, she has.
And Matt said, like, let's make it Kinsley Cam. So it's super cute.
So she has her own little segment in the show where it kind of changes the screen, and it's Kinsley Cam, and she has her own little 60-second snippets sometimes.
Yeah, it's really cute.
What else do you love about her? What's been anything else stand out to you so far? So we've done, the Upcountry one. We've done the Faith Goggles one. We've done a bunch, but what have you loved about it? You think it's just fun doing it with the kids, or what?
Yeah, I think it's sweet because, it's been kind of cool to do a quarantine edition because it's really just us. Like, it's not overproduced. Yeah. It's not, it's really well done, but it's not like we're going on all these crazy, cool, amazing Hawaii adventures. It's just like, here's a day in the life of what we do.
Because we do live in Maui, and there's adventures, but like, this is almost forcing us to even be more ordinary. Like, it's almost like having to hunt for like the ordinary adventure every day.
Well, and I think that's cool because I think people can relate, because sometimes you can see Instagram photos and be like, oh, well, I don't live in an island, or I don't live on a farm with all these acres, but it's just like, oh, but wherever you live, you find adventure and you find God's truth and God's goodness. So it's just been really cool really sweet to just be like, oh, this is just us, and here's how we like love each other and have fun and find God in all the little moments of our day. Yeah.
So also, guys, depending on when you're listening to this, go to my Instagram, and I'll try to post a 60-second trailer and kind of an announcement there. And it'll be fun to interact there in the comments. But guys, we're so stoked. It's so fun. I'm stoked too, because if you guys watch and there's a good enough support, then I think there will be a lot of future seasons. And I'm actually really stoked too to even see future seasons of if they can, get some crew out here and stuff like that. And we do some more fun stuff. So there's kind of the quarantine edition ones. There's those different ones. And I'm really excited. So jeffandalyssa.com/yippee, 2 P's, 2 E's, 25% off your first 3 months. And you can just check it out, I think, for free for a week. But it's so fun. It's so fun. And the kids are a blast in it. They're hilarious. You never know when you give them a camera what's going to happen. Oh, man. Okay. This week's episode, guys. So I wanted to follow up on last week's episode because you guys actually loved it so much and were so encouraged by it that I wanted to just chat about it a little bit more, that there was some more there. And again, I can't give away too much because I'm writing on this, but I thought I would still stay in this one little topic of belonging and stuff like that.
Who wrote the cultural code for people to know?
Culture Code.
Oh, Culture Code.
Daniel Coyle. Subtitle.
Who is he?
Secrets of Highly Successful Groups. Just like a journalist, writer, or author guy. He's a New York Times best-selling author of The Talent Code, The Little Book of Talent, The Secret Race, Lance Armstrong's War, and Hardball, A Season in the Projects. Coyle, who works as an advisor for the Cleveland Indians, lives in Cleveland, Ohio, during the school year, and in Homer, Alaska during the summer with his wife, Jen, and their 4 children. There you go.
There you go.
And you made me lose my page right when I turned that back for
sorry.
that. Oh, shoot. Where was I going?
Give us a nug. Oh, wise one.
Well, now I got to find it. Okay, hold on. Where was I? It had to do with rain. I'm trying to remember. I'm getting all stuffed up again. Sorry, guys. Shout out to the Afrin. I need some Afrin. Do you need some Afrin?
No.
Okay, here we go. So one other thing I thought was fascinating is, again, is showing, and this can be pertinent in families, with friendships, in teams, whatever, of how sometimes the tiniest changes are some of the things that can have a profound impact on relationships, team culture. And he doesn't use the word empathy in this one, but this is probably what I would call it, with a little bit of a twist too. And so there's 2 layers to this. The first one is let's go with the first one. So there's a couple different studies that I think are fascinating. So one of them is how when your brain realizes you aren't doing something alone, you're way more successful. So listen to this. He tells it from the first person, but there's research to back this up with another study. And he said, let's take a closer look at how belonging cues function in your brain. And this is a study that's been done, but he says it from a first-person perspective. Say I give you a moderately tricky puzzle where the goal is to arrange colors and shapes on a map. You can work on it as long as you like, and after explaining the task, I leave you to do the work. After only 2 minutes later, I pop back in and I hand you a slip of paper with a handwritten note. I tell you that the note is from a fellow participant named Steve, whom you've never met. And the note says, Steve did this puzzle earlier and he wanted to share a tip with you. I say, you read the tip and you get back to work, and that's when everything changes. Without trying, you start working harder on the puzzle and areas deep in your brain begin to light up, and you are now more motivated twice as much. And this is the actual hard data of the research. You now work and usually succeed more than 50% longer with significantly more energy and enjoyment.
Wow.
And he goes on to even say more and more and more. And he says 2 weeks later, you're inclined to take on similar challenges. So people that get that note versus people that don't do more puzzles and take on more challenges in the future. Basically, in essence, he says that slip of paper changes you into a smarter, more attuned version of yourself. And he goes, here's the thing. Steve's tip was not actually useful. They purposely wrote notes that contained zero relevant information to help the puzzle. All that it did was basically show you that you weren't in it alone. Someone else had done it and they just were there wanted to help you.
Wow.
Isn't that fascinating?
Good. Yeah.
And there's kind of like a follow-up kind of thing that also had a crazy research. This one is, the math on this one's crazy. This one's called, Would You Give Your Stranger a Phone? And it's 2 scenarios these psychologists give to tons of people. Scenario 1, you're standing in the rain at a train station. A stranger approaches and says, can I borrow your cell phone? Scenario number 2, you're standing in the rain at a train station. A stranger approaches you and says, I'm sorry about the rain. Can I borrow your cell phone? Which stranger are you more likely to respond to?
The second one.
Yes, but you would think they wouldn't be that much different.
Yeah,
it's the
right.
exact same words.
But they're empathizing with you.
Exactly. It's just like, oh, I'm sorry about the rain. That changed. Here's what's crazy. That changed the response rate of whether or not you say yes to it, 422%.
Wow.
Isn't that crazy? Just 6 more words of I'm so sorry about the rain. Isn't that fascinating? And so, yeah, I think that plus that one, there's even some more that he talks about right on those next couple of pages. It's just the tiniest things of like, there's someone with you and I'm for you. There's even another research I've seen too, where like thinking about this one's crazy. There's studies to show that thinking about your ancestors while you're taking any type of test always makes you perform better.
Wow.
Yeah.
Really?
And again, it's just the same thing of like, I'm not alone. I'm on this like group, this team, a longer story, a bigger story. It's fascinating. And I think that's just so pertinent for families, man, that like, is your family full of like, hey, I've done this before. Like one really easy way for the family too is to always train or teach your kids out of a space of you're not encountering anything I haven't encountered also. Right? This is a shared encounter. Like I've crossed that road because that does a million different things. It says like, first of all, it's doable. Second of all, you're not alone. Third, it can be done. Like you don't think you can do it, but like you can reach that bar, and on and on. And then the empathetic side of like, oh, I'm sorry about the rain. All that together just is powerful. But what are some of your reactions to it real quick?
Yeah. It's so hard for me when Jeff goes off like that because I just feel like I'm a listener. I'm like, wow, that's so good. No, honestly, I was thinking about it because I feel like Cannon is somebody that really doesn't love to be alone and that really and
not even like, and it's not a fear or anything. He's just like, oh, I want you here.
Yeah.
He wants you to be by him.
Yeah. And he like pulls us together as a team and and I just was thinking about him when you were reading that because I feel like if I just tell him to go do a task by himself, he like hates it. Yeah. But if I give him some type of encouragement or if he's with somebody or if somebody's helping him or if he feels seen and noticed, he will do it and do it amazingly and do it quickly. And so I just, as you were reading that, I was like, okay, how can I apply this to Cannon and to my kids? Because it's not like I can write him a little note. Yeah. So how can I encourage him in that way? Yeah.
Well, speaking of notes, this was, I think, actually the icing on the cake study. So this one was crazy because it really shows you the real world implications and how serious it is. There's an Australian group that examined 772 patients who had recently been admitted to a hospital for attempting suicide. So obviously they didn't achieve that, but they attempted suicide, 772 of them. And in the months after their release, they sent a certain postcard to exactly half of the group. And all the postcard said was these like 2 sentences. It said, "Dear blank, dear John, dear Katie, it has been a short time since you were here at Newcastle Hospital, and we hope things are going well for you. If you wish to drop us a note, we would be happy and love to hear back from you. Best wishes," and like the nurse's name or something like that. And it says over the next 2 years, the members who received that postcard were readmitted at less than half the rate of the other people.
Wow.
Meaning like they attempted to kill themselves less than half as much.
Wow.
Just from like that note.
Yeah, feeling seen.
Yes, and that's all it is.
Yeah, thought of.
And that's what the researchers, I think the researcher's guy's name, his last name was Walton, talks about, is he says that it's sometimes belonging cues are just sometimes the smallest signals, but they're so powerful. But I do love what he goes into the research too, is that they're not also like magic pills. He said there's something about them too where they're tiny, but I think he uses the word, which I like, pulse. They're a pulse, meaning like they have to actually be going all the time too. Like they're not something that like, and he's like, think about romantic relationships, right? Like you don't just say like, "I love you."
Here's roses on Valentine's Day.
Because if we are super logical and if we were super computer-like with our brains, it would be like, "I love you, feel loved," and that should cover us for our whole life. Which shoot, do I not say that all the time?
That is Jeff's line always.
Yes, my line is I think the line I use always like once a week with her is, "I have deposited into that bank. Can you just take a withdrawal from it?" Meaning I don't need to say it again. Just withdraw from the bank of the words I have said.
Wasn't our connection on Sunday good enough to last you for a week of like not needing a heart to heart? I'm like, no, I need one every day.
Exactly. So it's convicting for sure. But I love that phrase of like pulse. It's kind of like this, like the boop, 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 boop. Like it has to always be tiny. I mean, it can be tiny, but it has to always be going.
Yeah.
And I love that because there's something about that takes the pressure off, but also is an easy habit, I think, to develop.
Well, and as you're saying all this, I just keep thinking of the Lord. Like, isn't this the Lord with us? How he... Yeah. The greatest comfort I feel like I have in my walk with the Lord is that I'm not alone, that he's with me. And like, how often does he encourage us and say that we can do it, that we have his spirit with us, that he is always pursuing us. It's not like a little pulse, but it is like he's constantly showing us his love. He's constantly checking in. He's constantly like just showering us with love. And so there's something to that,
I think it is a pulse, though. I always use the analogy with the kids when I'm trying to explain God's love, like a wave, where I always say, like, "Hey, because we live in Hawaii, it's an easy metaphor. I always kind of say, like, when we're in the water, like when they get hit by a wave, I always say, like, turn around, make sure your eyes are on the next one, and they kind of know that, like, the waves never stop, and there's always another one, It's just, and it's always they're going to keep crashing over you. Like the wave doesn't exhaust itself to then not allow the next one to come. And that's, I think, that perfect example of like that pulse, right? That there's always, and we want to be people of waves. We want to be people of pulses that continually give those belonging cues, which, if you remember from last week, are some of those ones I read, like, ton of physical contact, physical touch, hugs, handshakes, kind of grab them by the shoulder, kids grab them by the face and the cheek, look them in the eye contact, proximity, body language, your tone of voice, stuff like that.
Well, and I think, doesn't that go along too with the whole idea of like, there's some families that it's like you don't really spend that much time with them, or the dad's really absent, but then like once every 5 years, we have this huge vacation. And it's like, well, that's not going to make up for all the time that you're not there. And it really is like a constant day by day, week by week, like being present, being intentional, having a place to belong.
Yeah. Oh shit. I forgot where I had a good analogy back in the day that I used to use, but with exactly that vacation thing where like, one of the worst things the Western world has done is turned like the getaway or the vacation into the thing that's going to save us or transform us, rather than the thing that's just celebrating all the ordinary mundane stuff you did the whole year. Right? It's icing on the cake. It's a bonus. It's incredible. It's a reflection time. But if it's the thing that's like meant to like kind of save the year, or you know what I mean, or be the thing that gives the year the most meaning or identity, like that's too much pressure and won't work, and tends not to. But one cool thing about this research too is there's been some really cool changes in how we view the amygdala, which is kind of that fight or flight place in our brain with like, like kind of some people call it like the guard dog, it's like the part in your brain that says like, oh my goodness, like how do you, it's evolved over time, but like how to survive and how to see a threat and, and all that stuff. But this research has shown that the amygdala is not just the guard dog is but the Walton guy says, quote unquote, it actually is also the guide dog. And what he means by that is, When there's belonging cues present, the amygdala actually goes into a different function, which is actually, it becomes then the thing that is kind of gluing your social connections, which is really cool, right? Mm-hmm. So it's so that like when you're not feeling like you're fearful for your life, or that you can't survive, or is someone a threat or whatever, then it actually doesn't turn off, but actually switch its functions to kind of glue you to that person or kind of guide you, you know, properly and stuff like that. And so I think that's kind of cool too, because yeah, I think it just shows how powerful those parts of our brain are and the chemistry and what it's doing in us and stuff.
Totally.
Yeah.
It's so good.
Anything else you would add, or any nugget in the last minute or two as we wrap up? No?
I don't have anything.
You know what, guys? I thought we were going to go longer than that, but I'm feeling the spirit just saying, hey, close it, you know, do an altar call, let people come to the Lord and send them home.
No,
and get
give us
discipled.
another last snug.
I don't know if
Bring it home. Bring it practical for the people listening.
Practical. I mean, just test yourself, challenge yourself if you can just do tiny challenges of empathy in your sentences. And especially during this COVID stuff, by the way. So like, you know, there's going to be, you know, customer service things, right? Like I would say this is very specific in the interactions you're going to have with people, that because there's so much of the like micro fear, and there's so much of the kind of like subtle fear or just subtle anxiety of people right now at cash registers, you know, on walks, just like these micro interactions that everyone's kind of on edge with, which is weird, you know, of insert into that one small sentence of, you know, of empathy that feels like shared, right? Like, oh, I'm sorry
for the rain.
Yeah, exactly. Sorry for the rain, you know, like, or, you know, man, what a bummer this rain is, you know, can I do anything to help or something like that? Like, you know, that is a metaphor for all these moments that we're all walking through this together, right? And then you're empathizing with them and they're not alone. So that's what I would say. But we love you guys. And by the way, don't forget to check out. We would love to have your support. Again, it's a free trial. So just, you know, you can literally just go check it out for free, watch some of the shows, see what the kids think. And you can also watch our show
Yippee
on Yippee. So jeffandalissa.com/Yippee, YIPPEE. That'll hit you with the discount and the free trial and all that. But hey, we love you guys. Have a good rest of the week.